Some people think football's a matter of life and death. It's actually much more important than that. Hello and welcome to the Book Thing. My name is Mark, and this is my review for the 37th book in the Discworld series, Unseen Academicals. Right, I have a bit of a confession to make. Despite me coming out with that Bill Shankly quote at the start of the video, I have no interest whatsoever in football. Which is a bit of a shame, considering Unseen Academicals is the story of what happens if the Discworld has football. So some people see this as the final Rincewind book. It isn't really. Rincewind's in it, but he plays a very, very minor part. This is about the wizards and the staff of Unseen University in general. So the setup of the story comes when Ponder Stibbons, who is the master of traditions in the university, he's actually got just about every job in the university that the other professors don't want to do. He's been delegated them, which is pretty much every job in the university, realizes that a large part of their budget, specifically a large part of their food budget, comes from a bequest from a will, and part of the terms of that bequest is that the university has to participate in a football game at least once every 20 years, and it's coming up on 20 years since the last time that they participated in one. Now, football in the Discworld at this time is a very unmanaged and unorganized and unruly activity. It doesn't seem to have many rules associated with it, and it takes place largely just in the streets of Ankh-Morpork. And Lord Vetinari, the patrician of Ankh-Morpork, isn't particularly keen on the lack of organization. So he tasks the wizards with turning the unruly riot that is the football game on the streets into a more structured sport that they can partake in. Now, as well as the wizards, this has also got a lot to do with some of the other staff in the Unseen University as well. The primary one of those being Mr. Nutt, who is a very, very odd appearance, but very, very capable at everything that he does. And initially we are told that Mr. Nutt is in fact a goblin, but there are some suspicions that that might not be quite the case, and that there is actually a bit more to him than meets the eye. Mr. Nutt works as a candle dribbler. In other words, he is someone who makes the candles of Unseen University look suitably atmospheric with big dribbles down the side so that they look appropriate to a wizard's university, not sort of new, sleek, tall, pristine candles that you would expect, but they have to go onto the various different candelabras pre-dribbled, and he is the best at doing that. Working with him is Trev Likely, someone whose father was a legend in the Ankh-Morpork football game, but Trev, despite having obvious footwork skills, made a promise to his old mum many years ago that he would never partake in the football game. And there's also some ladies from the kitchens of the Unseen University, including Glenda, who is the head of the night kitchen and someone with a very maternal instinct towards looking after just about everyone. And also Juliet, who is a young protege of hers and not exactly mentally gifted, but someone who is very, very strikingly beautiful. And there's various different rivalries and stakes that have been set up as well, such as the rivalry that now exists between Unseen University and Braesneck College in Pseudopolis, where the former dean of Unseen University is now the Arch-Chancellor. And there's also the clash between the old style football players who are reluctant to change to the new style of play with more rules associated with them. As you can see, I'm now approaching the end of my full read through of the Discworld series. So if you'd like to see any more of my reviews, please check out my channel. And if you like what you see, maybe you'd like to hit the like and subscribe buttons as well. So there's a lot going on in Unseen Academicals. There is the whole thing to do with Nutt and where he is potentially from and who he potentially is, which is a bit of a spoiler that I won't go into. There is the establishment of the rules of football. There's the various different rivalries. And there's also other things happening, like for the fact that if you're going to have footballers, then you need to have footballers' girlfriends. And if you're going to have footballers' girlfriends, then you need to have models. And if you need to have models, then you need to have a fashion industry. So Pratchett has to kind of build up all of those things as well. What's interesting about the football side of things is that in the old style game that is played on the streets, that actually mirrors the history of actual football quite a bit. There were these sort of mass ball games that were played on the streets in towns that ended up getting banned in a lot of places and then ended up being turned into football as we see it today. As an aside, there is one of those old street football games played to this day in the town of Ashbourne in Derbyshire. I'm going to leave a link to a bit of a documentary about that because the history about it is actually quite fascinating. But there is kind of where my fascination with football ends. And I suspect that there are a lot of jokes relating to football that come up over the course of this book that I'm just not getting because I don't have the frame of reference for them at all. Unseen Academicals is the longest Discworld book. And I'm sorry to say it kind of feels like the longest. There is a lot going on in it, but some of the things that are going on seem to be a bit underdeveloped. I mean, it starts off where it seems like it's going to be a football game between the two universities, and then it's not. And then there are seen to be some stakes around whether the game is won by the Wizards or then not. And then stakes are back again. It's quite odd, and it doesn't really feel properly fleshed out to me. Some of the new characters are interesting enough. Nutt is, when you start to understand who Nutt is, that's an interesting character to have been introduced to the Discworld. But it's only an introduction, and knowing how much Discworld is left, we're not going to see much more beyond an introduction. The character of Glenda is quite odd. She is a character who has this need to get involved with everything and be very, very defensive of things, even if they're things that she doesn't care about a lot. Like there are instances where she literally bursts in on Lord Veterinary to give him a piece of her mind about what he's doing to change football, even though she openly admits to not having any interest in football at all. It's quite an odd dynamic that's set up there. There's a kind of star-crossed love story between Trevor and Juliet as people from two rival football team supporters. And Trev is kind of this bit of a lovable rogue. Juliet feels like a bit of a stereotypical version of what people imagine models to be like. I'm not certain that that's particularly well done. All in all, it's a Terry Pratchett Discworld book. It's set in Ankh-Morpork. It has a lot of the characters from Ankh-Morpork. It has a lot of the characters from the Unseen University, all of which enjoy seeing. Like Pratchett's writing style, even if some threads of the narrative don't necessarily come together at the end, it's too long, and it's on a subject that doesn't really interest me, but that's probably more a me problem than it is a Terry Pratchett problem. But still, even a Discworld book that I'm not particularly interested in is still a Terry Pratchett Discworld book, and I'm going to enjoy it to some degree. So I gave it 3 stars. Decent enough. It's not going to be bothering my top 10 of Discworld books when I eventually get around to making my list. So anyway, that was my review for Unseen Academicals. The next one I'll be reviewing is the 4th Tiffany Aching book, I Shall Wear Midnight. So I hope to see you for that one. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and take care.